Hello. Hello out there. There. I feel like I'm floating. Did it look like I was floating there?
A little bit, yeah. We should get green screen. You have that Captain Kirk Tholian Webb vibe going yet.
Nice.
Whoa. That episode freaked me out when I was a kid. Oh my god. Hated that episode.
Which one was it?
It's one where like there's a transporter issue and Kirk gets he's out of phase. They think he's dead, but he's actually just out of phase. And every once in a while he appears in the ship like a ghost.
Vaguely remember that one.
They think Uhura's going insane because she's seen him, and there's he's dead. But I forget how they get him back. But when I was a kid, that just, for some reason, that really freaked me out.
Good to know.
Matt says we're up and running on all channels. You ready to start?
Cool. Roll it.
The history of the Gallic lands is one of struggle, punctuated by moments of sheer brilliance.
Tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal heritage story. Howdy, boys and girls. Welcome to USA Kilts. I am Rocky. That's Eric.
Yo.
Indeed. Hope you like our new intro. We had a little bit of time playing around with that.
Yeah.
Today, special treat.
But don't tell anybody.
Shh. We try some contraband. I brought back some Balblair from Scotland, just over there. So I brought it back to share with my friends here, and then judge it harshly.
So we're accessories to a felony.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Smuggled through the proper channels of customs. So it's not really smuggled. Just, shoved in the suitcase.
Is it Balblair, or Ballblair?
Exactly.
Okay.
It is. It's one of those. So,
Blip.
Emma, why don't you come collect your...
Yes, our MC today is Emma.
As you will find out momentarily.
Who is this Emma person we're talking about?
And tell us about your beautiful non-tartan today.
I've got my saffron kilt on. Woo-hoo.
Whoop,
Oh,
whoop.
wait, I like the pin.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the pin? Wrong side.
There.
There you go.
There we
Ooh, a
go.
little
That's
terror brooch.
cool.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's nice.
Very nice.
Super cool.
Totes adorbs.
Aaron Gabra.
All right.
You're a little early.
Yeah.
But
It's quite all right. Eric, what do you have on today?
McPherson.
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 There is no fear in McPherson, my
Yes,
friend.
I have messed that up ever since I started working here. I don't know why.
Fair.
I was scared by a McPherson when
Yes.
I was a child, probably.
Yes.
So, yes, McPherson Martin. And Rocky, what are you wearing today? As if I
Today-
didn't know.
What am I wearing, Eric? I won't call you out. This is the McDonald Clanranald
Which they can't
weathered.
see because of the table.
Yeah, they can see a little bit right there on the side.
Okay.
Made lovingly for me by my friend Barb Tewksbury.
Yep.
Oh, I paid for it. Don't worry.
Dr. Barb's Tewksbury. Right?
Yes.
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 The
Doctor.
doctor.
Yeah. Me and Big B are on like.
Or on I'll call you once in a while basis.
I love Barb. I've
She is
talked to her
cool.
a lot more. I watched
She's a lovely person.
the thing for the V&A Dundee Museum, or the V&A Dundee, their presentation that they put out online. She and I watched it and were texting back and forth during the whole thing at 5 in the morning because it was 10 a.m. over there. Anyway.
That's very Zoomer of you.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
the kids
Thank
do
you.
that. They watch shows and just talk on Discord the whole time too.
Yes, me and the I won't tell everyone Barb's age, but me and Barb Tewksbury are very Zoomer. Yes. All right, so Balblair, let's get back on topic. Emma, what do we got there for some tasting notes for Balblair?
All right, so on the nose, we've got elegant bright lemon peel layered with creamy vanilla and crisp green apples.
Now you see why I bought this, because I saw that and I was like, damn, I like all of those things.
Pretty damn good. I mean,
Yeah.
for once my faulty brain sensory apparatus agrees with the notes.
Okay.
I mean, that's, in other words, fruity and a little acidic,
Yeah.
but a little bit floral. It's a very nice nose.
Yeah, I agree.
Lovely. Sláinte.
A little pepperier, a little warmer, so to speak, than a usual Highland for me.
Yeah, so the tasting notes we're supposed to be getting is ground spices and dried orange slices enveloped in intense set honey sweetness.
It is very sweet. Well, it's not super sweet, but it is sweet.
Yeah, I get a lot of pepper. It's a reasonable amount of sweetness. I get
Yes.
I get the orange zest. But it's a lot of pepper for me.
Yeah, it is peppery.
I want to try cutting it a touch with a tiny bit of water.
The finish is creamy and leathery with notes of sweet
I
vanilla.
was gonna say it's very leathery. Wow!
Yeah.
I finally found
You
one.
got it!
I finally
Yeah,
found
you got
one.
it.
We have a winner.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I like this.
He likes it. He really likes it.
Clay.
So, all right, Emma, how are you feeling about it so far? Have you smelled or snorted or sipped?
I've done all both.
All
3.
those.
All both.
3, all both. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit. This is probably my favorite one that we've tried so far.
Out of the 3,
Out of the 3, yeah.
how many?
I've got a pretty developed palate at this point. I've tried 3 whiskeys.
You're an expert.
Sommelier. The water definitely chilled out the pepper. Definitely chilled it down a little bit.
Yeah. You put too much water in. I liked it better before I watered it down. How weird is that? Because I think I lost some of the sweetness.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe I lost a little bit of sweetness. I'm getting more leather, like as I'm drinking it now,
Yeah.
than necessarily aftertaste, but still getting it.
For the
now.
for the tobacco guys out there, I think this would be a good whiskey with a pipe.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good tobacco pairing.
I'd agree with that
This is
100%.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is very nice.
Yeah, it is.
Feel
The,
free to steal some more.
Yeah. Throughout the show, I will. I'm trying to remember what the price was. It was one. There was like I was at the duty free shop or whatever in the airport, and it was on sale. It was like a good chunk off. So I was looking at this one and a couple other ones I'd never had or heard of before. So I want to say it was 45 pounds, but it was on sale already. So let's say it was 60. Let's say $80 or $90. Normal price on sale for about 60 or so.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
I think it's I
That's
think
a
it would be a good. I think 90 would be a bit high. I wouldn't want to pay $90 for it.
Yeah.
But $60, it's a good value.
I would agree.
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with myself for some reason. Yeah.
Like he always.
Indeed. All right. So Emma, how are you feeling about the Bal Blair 12?
I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna go with maybe a 7.5. I don't drink it.
7.5?
but I think I might get this for my boyfriend for Valentine's Day.
Aww.
Very good. Very
Good
good.
one.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's available in the States
Oh man,
because I haven't seen it, but
that would.
yeah. But we'll make it happen for you. We'll figure it out one way or
Thank-
another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
All right,
Don't
Eric.
ask too many questions.
Exactly.
I'm up there. I'd give this like an 8.1. I would actually buy this. Yeah. I
Nice.
definitely like this.
Nice. Very good.
Yep.
I'm debating between like 7, 9, 8, 1. Would I drive out of my way to go get it? Yeah, I'll give it an 8-1.
Yeah.
I would drive and get it. I would drive and get
Oh, we
it.
have a matching score. That's weird too.
Yeah.
Can I also point out that they get extra cool points for me because they have a. You probably can't see it here, guys, but yeah, I don't know if the camera's gonna. Oh wait,
Yeah, you can say it.
that they've got like a. Thank you, Adam. They have a Pictish, a version of a Pictish Z-Rod as their logo,
And on the cap.
which is so freaking cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's not exactly a Z-Rod, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's on the cap as well.
Yep.
Established 1790.
DC.
Exactly. They've been around for quite a while. They were Picts, oddly enough. Okay, cool. So, boys and girls, that's our rating for the Bal Blair. As always, please load in your questions. We are about your humble servants here to answer any questions about kilts and or culture-related questions that you have to ask us while we are waiting for people to start tippity-tappity typing on their keyboards.
I have a feeling they probably already have been. First, a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
Number one, it's Groundhog's Day. So we took it upon ourselves to see if there was a tartan for Groundhog's Day. And I have notes here, but Emma, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah. The very exciting Groundhog tartan.
And Cambot, can we put that up on Still Store?
Yes.
Good MSD3K reference.
Okay.
Very nice.
So, if the sun comes out on a clear blue morning, the groundhog will see his shadow. Again, the darker shadow portion is asymmetric, as if light is shining on the lines from the left-hand side. The turquoise seemed to go with the bright yellow and reminded me of a warm Caribbean vacation, which I am sure many people on the East Coast may be dreaming of right now. That's from the designer.
I want to see...
Doesn't feel Pennsylvania enough to me.
But I want to see what a shadow person looks like, and now I'm thinking that like the groundhog is actually scared by the shadow person that only it knows exists, and that's why it hides back in its hole.
Yeah. Okay.
I apologize. It was shadow portion.
I know.
Not shadow.
I know.
Yeah, no,
but
That's horrifying.
No, no,
Yeah.
Roll with
no.
it.
The flub is better. I love it. Indeed. Okay.
Poor Puxatawny Phil.
Yes. Poor guy.
There's actually a lot of groundhogs, though. We have a local one in Reading, according to Patrick.
Not anymore. Got my
Got your varmint rifle.
exactly.
Yeah, I think commemorative tartans can be fun, but I'm not that thrilled with that one. It's meh. Doesn't feel groundhoggy to me.
I like the thought of making it asymmetrical to look like the shadow, and doing that. I thought that was a clever twist on it. I like that idea.
Yes, but I just
Cheers to whoever the
doesn't feel
designer was.
Doesn't feel like Pennsylvania to me enough.
Yeah. Fair.
Right. So, second bit of housekeeping, which is also our first question. As I think some of you know, Rocky has just returned from Scotland,
Scotland. Yeah.
from Alba,
Yes.
hence the whiskey. So people wanted to know what was going on with your trip. So Scott Sanders asked us, what was the coolest thing you saw on your trip to Scotland? And then we had some other follow-up questions. Do you want all the follow-up questions now?
Sure.
Okay. These are from Peter Hutchinson and Carla McLaughlin. How much Iron Brew did you drink?
2 cans.
What did you bring back? Well,
Whiskey and a rock.
a rock.
I got a
And
rock.
Can you report on the health and wellness of Nessie?
We were on Loch Ness. We went up to the little river boat tour cruise thing, and then went to Urquhart Castle. The captain of the riverboat was giving all kinds of facts about things that went down in Loch Ness, and was talking about Nessie and like when the last Nessie sighting was and things like that. And there's apparently a reward for photographic evidence of Nessie, and my son Liam was overly excited about the reward aspect. So he was looking for Nessie, just like, well, if I get 20,000 pounds, I'm going to be rich. This is great. I got to find Nessie. I got to take pictures. So he's out there the whole time with his little camera looking for it. So, yes, indeed.
You ever watch The Venture Brothers?
Occasionally. I haven't seen it for a long time.
Nessie is a plesiosaur. Plesiosaur. Okay, anyway.
Yes.
That'll be a clip that goes in here.
Yeah.
And Carla wanted to know if you got over to and saw the underground city
In
in
Edinburgh?
Edinburgh, which is, I think she's referring to Queen Mary's Close,
No.
which is something I would love to see.
Yeah.
I'd really love to see that. Is it Queen Mary's Close? I forget.
There's a bunch of closes. That's just
Yeah,
basically
but
the
Mary's
underground alleys
Mary's
kind
is
of thing.
the really intense one.
Yeah.
So.
No, I didn't go to Edinburgh. So no, I didn't see that. I was there several years ago, like early, like 2010, 12, somewhere in there. But no, I have not. I did not go back to Edinburgh. At some point, I will. I'd love to go back to Edinburgh. It's a cool city. But no, I went to Glasgow and then over to Stirling and then up to Inverness for a few days. And came down to Appin and Fort William and kind of like played down the left side of Scotland a little bit, and then back to and Oban, and then went to Glasgow, back to the airport, and jumped on a flying metal tube hurled into the air. Yes, indeed. So that's fun.
But what was, in a nutshell, the coolest thing?
Coolest thing.
The coolest thing you saw or experienced?
Okay, so I went over for a trade show. So I'm of two minds. The business geek in me loves. I wanted to go for the trade show. Like it's that to me. Like for those of you who don't like your job, this is going to sound painful, but I love my job. I love what I do. I love seeing the new stuff that's coming out for the industry. I love talking to the suppliers in the industry because I'm, hundreds and thousands of miles away from home base. All the mills, all of our suppliers are over in the UK, and I'm way over here out on an island. Well, if they're on the island, I'm on the mainland. But anyway, I love going to the trade show and kind of conversing with my peers and suppliers and things like that. I got to meet Peter McDonald, talk to him for a little bit, and John McLeish from the Scottish Tartans Authority. I got to talk to all the suppliers and kind of geek out on the new stuff that's coming out and what they're planning on doing still. And that is, in a weird way, if people will find it weird, but I don't, that's fine. Finding new suppliers and seeing new products and innovation is the fun bit to me. I love doing that. And I love engaging with people. On the other side of it, the other weirdest, coolest moment was engaging with no one. On the last full day of the trip, we were staying up in Inverness, and we just basically drove down, the edge of Loch Ness on the left side. We went down to Appin, Castle Stalker, which was, Kelly's family's, historical area. Their heritage. It's where her family came from. So, somewhere along the left-hand side of Loch Ness, on the highway, there's just not really highway. It's a country road that they call a highway. There's just basically pull-offs. And there's a little pull-off with, I don't want to say park, but it was like a few benches and, tables and a little, grill, charcoal briquette thing for you to grill if you want to grill. Yeah, picnic area. And then a trail up into the mountains. So on one side, it's Loch Ness, and then highway, and then, steep cliff up into the mountain. But, Scots pines, so like pine trees that are like 100 feet tall, moss everywhere, and it was... Kelly wanted to stay in the car because it was kind of spitting down rain a bit. Okay. But Liam wanted to go hiking. We go hiking a lot here. And he wanted to go hiking in Scotland. So I figured, okay, fine, this is our last chance. Let's just go hiking off on the side of the road, who knows where. I couldn't even tell you what town it is. I know it was near Glen Affric area, but not exactly in Glen Affric. But we just kind of got out of the car and just meandered up this hill. And it was so lush and so green, and moss covered everything. There's water coming down the side of the mountain, washing the peat off the mountain into Loch Ness. It's just this serene, surreal, almost otherworldly feel to it. That's just kind of just there, side of the road, and it was really cool getting to share that with Liam.
Okay.
And hiking in a completely different environment. It's just different from North America and the trails that we hike on. It was just, just the mossy, spongy ground. I remember taking video of it and then look how spongy the ground is, and explaining these things to him. We don't have this stuff where we are. And just watching him get excited about different trees and different, rocks and different, seeds and things like that. That was cool. And being able to share that with him and just be in the middle of nowhere and have a little bit of a zen moment. Yeah.
That's cool. With your kid. That's
exactly.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, you made a really good memory for him in the process, too.
That is the goal.
I hope.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if not, we have it on video.
There you go.
And I caught him falling down, so that's always fun.
No.
Tripping up the trail.
Liam, look at this view. Liam?
Where'd you go? No, there was a water. It rained the entire time we were there. So there was water, a stream, almost quasi-river, like a violent stream, coming down the mountain, which feeds into Loch Ness, as a lot of these little tiny stream feeder rivers do. And he wanted to go over and get video of it and get pictures of it, and I'm like, dude, no, you can't. If you fall in there, I'm going to have to jump in after you, and we're both going to die, and your mom will kill me. So, no. So I was literally holding on to the back of his jacket as he's like, look, I want to get closer. No, you're good enough. So, yes. He got closer than he probably should have, but it's all good.
That's cool.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to do some content based on his trip in the future, so you can look for that
absolutely
in a little while.
And the other coolest thing that I got to see before it was released to the world outside of the trade show.
I think I know what this is.
the Glen Affric tartan, Scotland's oldest tartan. This is it. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
yep. And we ordered this. This is for a customer. I can't read without my glasses. Who the heck is this for? Preston Evans. So, your kilt for your material for your kilt is here. Everyone else who's ordered, they ran out immediately. So we're waiting on the next shipment run of them to do the cloth for a lot of the kilts. There's been a huge surge
Yep.
for this particular tartan. So
Demand has
Yes.
exceeded supply, which we kind of predicted might happen, but they were like, oh,
Yes.
we'll give it a try, see what happens. Like, so
you need to do
we
more.
really should do this
Yeah.
more.
We wouldn't be cocky enough to say we knew that it was going to go, but it did.
I like the fact that you hiked in a place which is exemplary of why we have the extant specimen that tartan recreates.
Yep.
That peat is exactly why it was preserved.
Yep, and that's why
the dyes are preserved. So
correct, and that's why Loch Ness is when you're actually floating on Loch Ness or in your boat on Loch Ness and you look down, it looks black. Like it is black. When you get closer to the shore and you can see like the through the water down to the pebbles and the sand below it, it looks more like tea. It's kind of, but it's like that darker color. And the boat captain explained the reason why is because the rain coming off the mountains is just washing the peat into Loch Ness, and that's why it has that tea kind of color to it, and it looks black from above.
yep.
So
The most metal of locks. It's black and it has a monster in it.
exactly,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. Cool.
Loch Ness. That's gonna be my metal band name.
Very good. All right, Miss Emma, what do we got going on there in the interwebs?
Yeah, we've got lots of questions. One from Brian Taylor is, how do you make an 8-yard kilt for a person with a 29-inch length? Do you need to use 8 yards of double width cloth?
Wow.
It depends on the mill. So most cloth from, well, I should not say most. I should say cloth from the mills that we get in Scotland is between 54 and 60 inches wide. So if you are in for an 8-yard kilt, you order 4 yards of cloth, you cut it down the middle, flip it over, boom, you have 8 yards. And you use a little bit in the middle. So if it's a 24-inch kilt, 24 inches and 24 inches is 48. You rip it, you have 6 inches left to make the waistband and the other bits that you need. Now, some mills are 54 inches, some are 55, some are 60 inches wide on a bolt of cloth. So if you are 28 inches times 2 is 56 is the minimum you need for the length of the kilt, plus a bit for the waistband. If you're getting a 60-inch wide piece of fabric, then you should have enough. If you're getting a 54-inch wide, nope, it's not going to be enough. The maximum you can do is 57. Then you'd have to cut a chunk up the end and splice it together to make a waistband and then flip it and hope that it matched up. The other option that you have is a mill like House of Edgar who weaves single width cloth. So if you do, and this is for if you have a choice of tartans, then this is what you would do, would be order something like House of Edgar single width cloth for, Gordon Modern or whatever it is. And then, because that cloth actually comes 32 inches wide, so 28 inches, chop it. I'd have 4 inches to play with for a waistband, which is plenty. You need generally about 2.5 inches for a waistband. So if, let's say you want one of the Glen Affric tartan, comes double width from House of Edgar, 55 inches wide, and you want it to be 28. Yeah, if it has to be 28 and you can't cheat it at 27, then yes, you're going to have to order, or the kilt maker is going to have to order 8 inches single width of 8 yards double width of the cloth and have a lot of wastage.
Wow.
Now, in the case of like Glen Affric, if you specifically, or a tartan where there's a lot of things, a lot of people, clamoring after it all at the same time, if you can hook up with somebody else who's maybe short, maybe needs a 22-inch kilt,
there you go.
You can maybe, do it at the same time and save yourself some money. But if you're looking for, a 28-inch kilt and it's in a random tartan that's only available double width and no one else needs the other half of the bolt, or the other third of the bolt, it can be done. It's just going to cost a bit more. You're essentially adding another 40-50% to the cost of the kilt, because it's, you're double the amount of cloth, which is almost half the cost of the kilt. So another 50%. Yeah.
Oofta.
Yep.
But
so hopefully you have a use for it, like pillowcases or long table runner or making rope. I don't know. It's a long chunk of cloth. So
tartan compression straps.
Exactly. Yes. So that would be my thoughts on it. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just a clothes horse. I don't make kilts.
Fair. So.
Yeah.
Yep. So good luck. Either look for somebody or find a cloth that is single width at 32 inches wide. That's your best bet.
Yep.
Cool. Eric.
What? Okay. Right. I knew about this question and forgot to do homework on it, which I wanted to do, so I'm going to screw this up, but I will have to think improvisationally. Chuck Marks gives us an interesting poser. This should be a fun one. Imagine you're sitting at a peat fire with a dram or a pint, just relaxing. And across from you, on the other side of the fire, are two chairs. Now visualize who is sitting in those chairs. One would be a currently living person of Scottish heritage. The other is the spirit of a deceased person brought back for this special evening of conversation. Who are they? Oh, and Chuck wanted us to give a shout out for the upcoming 59th Phoenix Scottish Games, March 1st through 3rd. Go to the Scottish Games if you're in Phoenix.
Be there or be square.
So anyway, back in the moment.
Yes. So who would I want to? Living and a dead?
Living and a dead, just to
people. Would I want to chew the fat with? And they're going to converse with each other. It's not like the ghost can only see me.
I think we can assume that.
Okay. I got it. Here's what I want.
No, you can only see the living one.
Exactly.
And they think you're freaking weird.
Like, why are you talking to yourself? Can't you see them? They're right there.
Can't you see Robert Burns right there? I see him.
Okay. I've been told I go to the well of the Sobieski Stewarts too often, so I won't say Sobieski Stewarts.
I would way too hard.
No. I'll geek out on the businessy stuff.
Okay.
In it.
Okay.
So I'll leave the historical figures for yourself. What I would do is I would want to have the owner / proprietor / whatever of Wilson's Bannockburn, the owner of the mill, who hopefully, I don't know the entire history of it, so I'm assuming that one of them, whoever it was alive from 1820s and working at the mill from 1820s to 1860s. So, height of the tartan craze, the King's visit to Scotland, the whole thing kicked off, boom, and right through the craze. Mm-hmm. So I want to see that person, as well as the head of one of the current mills in Scotland. Now, Simon Cotton owns House of Edgar, but he just bought it. So I'd say like either Blair McNaughton from House of Edgar, who ran the mill for, successfully for quite a long time, or Dawn from Loch Heron, or John Buchan, who owned Loch Heron that was in his family before it was sold in the early teens of 2000 teens.
Okay.
So, current mill with a lot of knowledge of the mill and the trends over these past 30 years, 40 years, and then something from the 1820s to 1860s mill knowledge of the past of that 30, 40 year period. And then I would geek out with them on the trends in colors, the trends in designs, how the customers interacted, kind of like the blending of customer and commerce, or heritage and culture and commerce, how the designs evolved, why they evolved, how the customers informed the mills of their preferences, how the mills picked their own designs and kind of pushed it forwards to the culture, and how what things worked, what things didn't, the fashion trends of the times, and then compare and contrast and watch them, those two, the mill heads, compare and contrast those things, and then pepper them with questions the entire time. That
Yeah.
would be a pretty awesome historical / contemporary discussion.
That sounds great.
Yes.
That
Damn it,
sounds
now I
very
want it to
good.
happen.
That's very good. Very good.
I need to kidnap Dawn from Loch Heron and then travel on a time machine and make this occur.
Dun, 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 dun.
And a videographer to record
You have
it.
a time machine. I have a picture to prove. You have access to a TARDIS, remember?
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay. What would your... And Emma, I'm going to come to you on this, too.
I was
She's
gonna,
like, I
I
have
was
no
gonna
idea.
think harder about this, and I totally forgot to do so. So, but I have a couple of options that come to mind. Number one, see where this is going. As soon as I say it, Mel Gibson and William Wallace, just to watch William Wallace punch Mel Gibson out. I was gonna swear, but I decided I shouldn't.
Okay. Okay.
Just want to see what William Wallace deck Mel Gibson. But that wouldn't be much of a conversation.
But would he
It'd be
deck
fun.
him? Would he deck him? Now, does the real William Wallace have access to in your scenario?
Yes.
Will we have allowed him to watch Braveheart?
Yeah, I think we'd have. Yes, that's
So,
true. There has to be.
Bring him
power out
over,
there, yeah,
back from the dead,
prerequisite, I mean.
little seance, Ouija board, whatever we got. And then bring him back, sit him in front of a Blu-ray.
Yep.
Here you go. Watch it. No, like full movie theater experience.
Right. Right.
And then
right.
bring in Mel Gibson to discuss the choices that were made.
Okay. Okay.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's not as funny as I was hoping it would be.
No,
Wait
it's
till we
not.
Photoshop it, though.
It's fair.
Sorry.
It's fair.
All right. So here, no, a little bit more serious. Billy Connolly and Robert Burns. Just
Okay.
to see the two of them like be witty with each other and go at it, just over some drinks. That
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Now, would Billy Connolly be like banana booted? Billy Connolly? Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly? Yes, the big
No,
one.
I think I'd want him like the age he is now, but minus the Parkinson's or whatever.
Okay.
Because I want his advice. I want his perspective as an older man, an accomplished comedian, and a man of the world. I think because he's a very wise person. He
He is.
really is, and very compassionate. I'd want him interacting with Robert Burns at his peak. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Peak mental facility.
Rabbie Burns
Yeah.
did not live very long.
Nope,
So,
what,
so-
27? Was it 26?
Yeah, early
Something like
30s.
that.
I forget, but
Yeah.
I think it was early 30s. But yeah,
Okay.
so I think that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. And then I would like to. I would have some modern. Who's that historian who does the docs for the BBC? Who's Scottish and he's got the black hair. He's very sexy and always talks like this because now we know that this actually happened. What the hell is his name?
I think I know,
You know
who
who
you're
I'm talking about.
Oh, you're asking me for a celebrity-ish
I want to
name?
have him interviewing just about anybody.
Okay.
Could be anybody. But just have him actually talking to somebody that from any period in history, basically. Rob Roy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still want to talk to the Sobieski Stewarts. I don't care. I want to interview them and go through their
Okay.
entire catalog
Okay.
and see. I want to hook them up to a lie detector. I want to go full police CSI on this shit. I want to go through the entire thing. I want more evidence about the Sobieskis. No, forget it. I'm going to go even more. I want to put the Sobieskis. I'm going all dead people. Sobieskis, Sir Walter Scott, both in their prime, cage match.
Yeah.
Oh, two Sir Walter Scotts, just to
Okay.
even it out, because there's two of them,
Okay.
two of them.
Okay.
Fine. Cage match
Okay.
on Scottish Tartans.
Celebrity death
Yes,
match.
celebrity death match. Scottish Tartan
Epic
edition.
rap battle would be good too.
Ooh, I would like to see an epic rap battle. Victorian epic rap battle. Oof. All right. Emma.
Yeah. Emma.
Do you have
Please
any...
save me from my horrible answers.
Yeah, I'm about to come at you with some worse answers for sure.
Wait, no, we wanted your
No.
She said
Okay.
worse answers.
My
some worse answers.
very
okay.
bad answers. Living person. I think I'm gonna go with David Tennant. Right? He's Scottish.
Yeah.
Only for the reason it's my time to shoot my shot. Think I have a chance if we met.
I'll let your boyfriend know. Very kind of you.
He
Historic.
would have to understand. I mean, come on.
it's David.
It's a hall pass. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Historic figure. I'm not super into as much into the history. It's always something that I'm learning, so I don't have a fantastic answer.
Okay.
I think I'm going Robert the Bruce.
Okay.
Cancel me if you want. I have a tiny frog on my desk that I've named Ribbit the Bruce.
Oh.
And I'd like to snap a picture of him holding it, and I'd be like, "Bye." He can turn into dust. That would be cool. Those are my 2 answers.
So the entirety of your discussion with Robert the Bruce is to hand him your little frog,
Little plastic
Tiny
frog.
plastic frog from a Kinder
take a
Egg.
photo, and say, "Return to death. I have nothing else for you."
So Dave, where were we?
Yes. Sorry about that. It was, you know.
He would be a third wheel. I mean,
Yeah, I
in
agree.
fairness, yeah, he would kind of ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe. Okay.
David Tennant and Robbie Burns would be good too. Can you imagine David Tennant
Yeah, they would probably
doing
get along.
recitations with Robbie Burns?
Yeah, we'll make
Because
that
David
happen
Tennant,
too.
like most British actors, is Shakespearean training and highly skilled.
Dressed to
That'd
the
be cool.
haggis with David Tennant.
He'd murder that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's call some
Interesting.
people.
Yeah.
Get that
Okay.
done.
Get that Tesseract going.
Okay. But
Anything
No
from the
questions?
peanut gallery? Any ideas? Because there gotta be better ideas than mine.
We've got not too many. Robert Graves says the ghost I'd want is a Pictish chief. So
Yeah.
they could tell me all the real history.
that's
Yeah.
actually good.
Yeah.
That's
I would
better
love
than
that.
Eric's.
That's kind of like I've always wanted to talk to like people who actually worked in like the shipyards and things like that, like who built some of the Industrial Revolution stuff. So it's like I was trying to think of an actual name person, not an abstract. I was like, yes, I think that
Yeah.
would be freaking brilliant.
Yeah, we went names. We didn't go at. Well, no, I kind of went abstract-ish, but a directive abstract. I like the idea of the Pictish thing because there's nothing
Perfect.
known about it.
There's
And
more known than people really
Well-
think, actually, but still, there's a lot we don't know.
There's much more that we don't know than we do know. And if I'm going to caveat that and say, Pictish, 100% great answer. But they have to have like the Google Translate Pictish to English, so that we can understand what they're saying. Because I
you
would
go.
love to know more about that. I want to know what all the symbols mean.
I think we have to assume that language is not a barrier.
Yes,
We have a
of
universal
course.
translator
Yeah,
at work here,
yeah.
so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
I
good.
like that one.
Yeah,
That's a good
very
one.
nice. Very nice. All right.
Nabbit, I'm gonna be thinking up new ideas like at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That
I'm
was
gonna be
you.
Like, I'm gonna
That's
be
her
like,
next.
"Ah!" Oh, that was me.
Yeah. We'll dub something in later that sounded better. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% that. That was
I know,
a great
right?
one.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna double whammy you because I got a quick one.
Okay.
No whammies.
From a bagpiper Phil. He's asked a few times now. He wants to know if you needed an international driver's license when you went to Scotland, because he's going, and wants to know if you needed one.
Sure. No. The
Give you a
would-
temp thing, don't they?
no.
No?
Nope. You just we booked it online with Avis, I think it was. A couple points. One, no, you don't need an international driver's license. You do need your driver's license, but you don't need international. Two, be a little leery of the insurance that you buy through like hotels.com or whatever. The guy from Avis pointed out to me, well, if you get their insurance, then you have to, this isn't a commercial for Avis, I promise. I'm not being sponsored. I should be. Son of a bitch. Call me Avis. If you get the insurance through a third party, then you have to deal with the whole thing, but you have to pay Avis up front. It's more, I didn't just do that. Back and forth. But no, you don't need an international driver's license. The one thing the thing I found most amusing is in the cars, they have on the driver's and the passenger side, drive on left with arrow pointing the other direction.
Ours didn't have that.
For both of it. Yeah. Like,
Wow.
stupid tourists are going to be stupid. No, you don't need a driver's license or a special driver's license. The one thing I will warn you about is more than, and I actually interviewed people talking about this, more than 50% of the cars in the UK are manual. They don't use automatics nearly as much as we do. And when you go to rent, automatic is definitely an upcharge. Now, I knew how to drive manual, so I don't mind doing it. But you're driving, manual stick shift with your left hand, driving on the right-hand side of the road. The gearbox is the same direction as it is in America. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. It's not quite that big of a gearbox, but you get the point. So that you don't have to worry about. It's not reversed the same way that your seat is reversed and the side of the road is reversed. But they drive a lot more manuals than we do over here. It's something I found a little bit odd and fun.
Did you have a fun car?
Sure, it's a fun car. It wasn't anything like
right.
super spectacular. All their cars are a lot smaller than cars in the U.S. Their parking spaces are a lot smaller, so you got to be a lot more careful. And their roads are a lot smaller and things like that. But no, it's fun. It's fine. You'll be good. Just remember, you're gonna often try to get in the wrong side of the car and then go back around. And just you have to remember, okay, when I'm at an intersection, I have to look to my right to see if there's any, cross traffic, or if you're going to make a right-hand turn. Yeah, it's backwards, but I made the shift reasonably easily. I hope you and I hope every other tourist does as well. So, cool. Emma, next one.
Yes. Okay. So I've got a question here from Robert Grave. He wants to know, what are some Celtic love and marriage traditions, since we're coming up on Valentine's Day?
Celtic love and marriage traditions.
Well, the oldest is running the gauntlet, basically as a suitor. And this goes for both Irish and Scottish, although the tradition is most well preserved in the Isle of Man. All of the brothers and brother-in-laws and male members of the family line up in the churchyard, and they each pummel the hell out of you before you can reach your bride-to-be at the end. And if you can still walk, or crawling is sometimes permitted, it depends on what region you're in, by the time you reach the end, then you're allowed to get married.
Eric, ladies and gentlemen, peak performance. Don't listen to a word this man says. You almost had me for a little bit.
I know.
Almost had me. I'm like, I've never heard
Hey,
this
it's been
shit.
a long time since I
Really?
indulged in that, okay?
All right. Don't believe a word. Out
Don't
of
you
this
love the
person's mouth.
image, though? You're like, poof, welcome to the family, lad. It's just like...
See, where you lost me was it wasn't just the bride's family. If it was just the bride's brothers and father who was allowed to beat you.
It's not much of a gauntlet. I mean, I'm thinking like 6 to a dozen
Understood.
guys,
Understood, but your family, I don't know. I think my brother would defend me. He would try to help.
Well,
See, if you went into that,
you see,
your family's allowed to help push you along.
This is what happened with the rough wooing when Henry VIII went after a Scottish bride, and it turned out that they brought all of their family along, and it became a whole war.
No.
Okay, so seriously, wasting your time with that goofiness.
Yes. Symbols.
Symbols or customs and stuff. There's a
Yes.
lot.
Luckin Booth, Luckin.
go with the-
Yeah,
Luckin
Luckin
Booth.
Booth. Brooches.
Or
It's-
any jewelry.
Exactly. Well, not just any jewelry. You got the Claddagh
Okay. No,
as
no,
a second Pete.
I'm saying any kind of jewelry with a Looking Booth design on it.
Correct. Yes. A Luckin Booth is a locked booth in Scotland, in Edinburgh. That's where it originated. A man would buy it and then, give it to his betrothed, and that was a symbol of their love. When they got married and had a kid, they would pin it on the baby's little blanket and walk him around.
Yeah, it was basically they called them locked booths because those were the booths used by jewelers at market fairs. So it was a way of keeping their stock secure. And at some point, somebody got in the habit of saying, we're just going to sell these special tokens, and you have to buy it from them directly, and it's usually silver. And they got the nickname of Looking Booth because that's where you had to go to buy one.
Yep. And then there's the Claddagh, or as Mac would say, Claddagh, as a throwback for you. The the Claddagh brooch, or excuse me, Claddagh ring, started in Ireland. There is an evolution of the meaning. It's with this with my hands I hold my heart and crown my love or something. I don't know. It's loyalty, love, and friendship.
Right.
Are the three symbols within it.
Right.
But it's taken on a meaning at some point. It has to be marketing shtick from somewhere. That if you wear it on your right hand facing away versus towards you, and then in your left hand away versus towards you, it means single versus dating versus engaged versus married. Correct.
Yep.
So it took on meaning over time. That's not how it started. So at some point there was some kind of marketing or story that went with it. I will neither endorse nor deny the story.
If memory serves, Captain, the last, it's been a while since I looked into this, but the last I heard, the tradition of the wearing of the ring and how you wore it may actually have been invented by Irish immigrants to the United States.
Okay.
So it goes back to the early 20th century is the best guess. If I remember correctly, I would want to double check this. There are various legends about the ring itself, that it's named after the village where the jeweler who started selling it came from, and the one legend is that the guy who invented it was actually he was betrothed to this girl. He was sailing somewhere, and his ship was attacked by Moorish pirates. He wound up in servitude in Morocco and was trained as a silversmith in the household of this guy who bought him. And then when he won his release, he went back to the village of Claddagh and set up his own silversmithy, and was able to then reunite with his beloved and start up a family and a business and stuff, and it took off from there. Probably just legend. The Claddagh is based on hand fastening type rings, of which you can see similar designs that go all the way back to the Roman Empire. So the idea of rings that have two hands clasping is actually pretty ancient. I think
Are they clasping or just?
No, on the Claddagh they're holding a heart, but in
Yeah.
most of I forget the name of it. Damn it.
You've done great so far.
They're actually clasping hands, like a handshake.
Right.
So, and it was a symbol of betrothal,
Okay.
or contract or whatever, or friendship. So when I think of this kind of stuff, obviously I think that the big one that comes to mind is hand fasting, which a lot of people are into nowadays. The history of where it comes from is a little bit muddied. It was not, in fact, a betrothal for a year and a day. There were different kinds of marriages in medieval to Renaissance period Scotland and Ireland in Scotland before the rise of the Presbyterian Church, who basically put a kibosh on everything. But there were different kinds of engagement arrangements. And a hand fasting was literally just a handshake agreement saying, yep, we'll get married at some point. And there's a lot more to it than that. We're going to do some content on it, so I'm not going to spill the beans on it now. But the idea that it is a traditional marriage kind of marriage ceremony is actually more of a modern invention, especially using the whole cord thing. It's still super cool, but it's not like some ancient Celtic pagan tradition. It's not. Sorry.
Is that where tying a knot came from?
It is, but that is again not as old as people think.
Right.
Okay. What else was I going to say about it? Yeah, I mean, marriage by elopement was a big deal. The blacksmith in your village could marry you. Up until the Presbyterians, put the kibosh on all that stuff.
After he hammered out a ring?
Yeah, you did not have to go. You did not have to have a priest for a law of history. You just had to have a witness, and a blacksmith was typically the guy. And there's one village in Scotland that people would go to. They would elope to, and I can't remember the name of it now. But little things like that is very, very common.
Insert village name here.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. There's a
No,
lot.
it's all good.
Listexia gets to me
Hey,
sometimes. I just don't
you
remember.
rattled off. I remembered the
Yeah, but I
Claddagh
want to be
thing.
more precise.
I understand, but we're live, dude. It's tough to remember all this stuff.
Right.
Recall. Dude, people out there in the interwebs, recalling all of these facts, I am more impressed with Eric than you know of the entire story of the Claddagh. I knew what you were saying about the guy who was, enslaved and taken away, but I didn't remember, Morocco. I didn't like.
Okay.
You got a lot more facts than I got.
Thank you. My favorite, though, if we're talking about tokens, is actually Welsh love spoons. That is a tradition that goes back to the Welsh maritime traditions. So like 18th century, I'm pretty sure, maybe earlier, and they still do that today. Nowadays, most people just buy them from craftsmen as a decorative item, but they are amazing, and some of the historical examples are just phenomenal. And the idea that you needed to make one of these things as a traditional love token to somebody you were interested in, saying, "Hey, you want a
While
date?
you're on
you
the
want
ship."
a date?
Yeah.
While you're on the ship, while you're on the job." And the theory was it showed that you were patient, it showed that you were skilled, and you were serious, because these are things that were not necessarily easy to carve. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've always thought Welsh love spoons don't get as much attention as they deserve.
I liken Welsh love spoons to trench art, as well as to scrimshaw.
Yep.
For sailors and up in the New England area.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
there's a lot of really cool, like, hey, if you're on a ship or if you're in a trench and you're waiting for something to happen, like, what do? You got to do something with your time. So art is a great way to do pass the time.
Yep.
So it's a neat kind of parallelism there. Yeah. Cool.
So there's a lot of food traditions too, but I'm not thinking of any good ones off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
it's a good. We should do some content on that.
Indeed, we have done some.
We did, but it was ages ago.
Yeah, we'll
Time
do
for
more.
time for an update.
Yes. How dare you? Get on that.
Sorry, sir. Yes,
Come,
sir.
come. Make it happen.
Start carving
Adam!
that spoon.
Go. All right, Eric.
My turn.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And in Japan, Christmas is when you have romantic dates, not Valentine's Day. But anyway.
Doesn't Saint Nick make a weird third wheel?
I don't know. It's
Why'd
romantic
you bring
to
this
them.
fat bearded guy?
Annual gift giving man.
Fair.
Jeff Plavier, or Plavier, I don't know how you pronounce it, says, based on the feedback at the store and from the Kilts and Culture group, do you folks at USA Kilts feel there is a higher interest or participation in Burns Night this year over previous years? In short, do you think the interest is truly growing in this or other Scottish events? And I'll say events or traditions. Are we in an upswing?
I think it's a tough one. We are kindly invited to several Burns nights. So I know that there are several ish within an hour or two drive of us, and I've seen several within our Kilts and Culture group that have occurred and things like that. And I think post-COVID, there's definitely been a drive, a desire, a need to reconnect personally with people and to have events, public events, where you get to have fun in a large group, unmasked. So I think there's definitely been a trend towards it. Will that continue 10 years from now? Who knows? I think with Ancestry.com, there's probably been a bit more of an influx over the past 5-10 years of people wanting to get in touch with their heritage. And then once they find out, ooh, I'm part Scottish, what does that mean? What can I do? How can I celebrate that? Then they figure out about haggis, and then they go, okay, when can I have haggis? Oh wait, Burns Night. That's a good excuse. And they want to find an excuse to celebrate. Any excuse for a party is a good excuse.
Right, basically.
So I think overall, there's probably some kind of pull towards culture and partying and wanting to express heritage. I don't know how much more in the past few years versus 10 years versus 20 years. Do you have a sense of it?
I think it's gone both ways. I think what COVID did was it increased people's desire to get out and do things again as soon as they could.
An appreciation for getting out. Yes.
Yes. Heightened appreciation. And I think that at the same time, more people got inspired to do things that they could do at home those, few years ago during all the lockdowns. So I think there was a huge groundswell of at-home burn suppers, private parties that people were doing. Just like, bread baking became a huge hobby during COVID. I think that things like Burns Night, and doing home crafty, homespun, rustic, feel good, warm, fuzzy kind of stuff like that got a big shot in the arm, and I think that's continued. I see more people post about how they're making their own burn suppers at home, or they're having a burn supper and just inviting a few friends over. So I do think, yes, the public events have definitely come back. And I think that at the same time, people are doing more stuff at home. I think that's the thing I see in terms of interest in cultural stuff like burn supper. There's more interest in the craft side of it, is what I've noticed. It's not just the socialization, but it's more interest in DIY stuff.
I just thought of a way for us to gather empirical evidence that I didn't think of till just now.
Huh.
We could call the Scottish Gourmet and
See if their
see
sales
what
have
their
increased.
sales of
That's a good
haggis is, or if they have increased over the last 8 years from then to now in January.
Yeah,
All right,
I think that's a great.
I'll
that's a
figure it
great
out.
idea.
Yeah, it's an easy, simple way to do it, and we have access to them. They're good people.
Yeah.
So I'll insert that here, maybe if I call them.
But I would say in some ways we are in an upswing in cultural interest, and I've said before that basically I think it's because the more high tech life gets, the more people want some kind of a sense of something real and natural and analog.
Yep.
So I think there's more interest in everything we talk about here because of that alone. It's not dehumanizing. It's not cookie cutter culture. It is something you can really sink your teeth into, and you can share it with loved ones and family, and pass it on to your kids, and it just feels really real. So I think we are absolutely seeing an upswing in interest in all of this stuff.
In a weird way, technology is feeding it.
Yes.
It's this weird
Yes.
monster that technology is making us more individual and going into our own echo chamber bubbles. And on the other end, it's making us want to connect more analog and more visceral, physical
Yeah.
interactions. But we're finding more data and more people and more geekdoms and more friends through communities online, which is then feeding our knowledge base.
Yep.
And then we go out and physically, interact with each other in the real world because we have that need as well as humans.
And more material to work with. I mean, the Glen Afric tartan is a perfect example of that. And I know I have a question here about that we'll get into later, but what we can do with that tartan and know about it now is vastly superior to what we could have learned about it just 10 years ago, let alone 50 years ago. So
You mean this Glen Afric tartan?
I know that Glen Afric tartan. Right
Available at usakilts.com.
there. Quick
I'm going to
aside.
keep it off to the side, make sure I don't spill whiskey on it.
Quick aside, if you are interested in getting it, I personally highly recommend that you do a pre-order now because, again, demand has exceeded supply, and I fully expect, personally, that when the new supply is available, it's going to run out.
Oh, I think it's already
fast.
gone.
It may already
The-
be gone. It
yeah.
may already
The
stuff
mill,
over, so.
basically, the mill came out with a new collection. They're 18 or 1784 or something, some number collection. And Glen Afric was like the headliner. And they did 120 meters of it.
Of course.
Sold it out immediately. Sorry, snap with the right hand. That's a better snap. Sold out immediately, and then put another 240 meters into production. And I think I've been ordering so much in the last few days. That's probably either gone or almost gone.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be, the next one. And that one was estimated mid-March. And that was pretty much the majority of their yarns that they were using were depleted at that point. So I'm going to guess that they're going to quote end of April for the third run of the thing. So yeah, if you want it, speak soon. Not forever hold your peace, but you're going to have to hold your peace a lot longer.
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
Sorry for the tangent.
Yeah.
Or rabbit hole. Or
Yeah, it's a popular tartan and people want to know about
But
it.
the point is, it's the result of technology,
Yes, 100%.
and yet it's 500 years old. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, was that you or
That was
or Emma?
me.
All right, that was long.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we're long-winded.
Before we get to Emma's next question, since it's 3:59, we should probably do the Ambassador of the Month.
Hey guys, we thought it'd be fun to highlight a couple this time in honor of the season. So our ambassadors today are Robert and Samantha Nunn of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Sam works as a lead teller at a bank, and Robert is in maintenance. He's also a vet with 8 years in the Army and a deployment to Iraq under his belt. These lovebirds met by chance in college back in 2011. Rob is mostly of Irish descent with some Ulster Scots in the mix. He has family ties to County Antrim, County Donegal, and County Kildare. And like many immigrants of the past 2 centuries, some of his ancestors merely had Ireland listed as their place of origin. Sam, meanwhile, says the majority of her ancestry is German, but she is also very proud to be able to claim distant Irish and Scottish ancestry, including a great-grandfather from County Tyrone. The two of them agree that heritage is a way to feel like you are a part of something bigger. And for them, things like music, language, and handicrafts are very, very important. The key is to add different traditional elements to both everyday life and to family holidays. Rob says, "We both look forward to teaching our first child all about his heritage. He's due late spring of this year. We purchased storybooks for him from Germany, Ireland, and Scotland and can't wait to read them to him. We're working on making a kilt for him as well. Wouldn't want him to feel left out now, would we?" These guys have a lot of hobbies, and they love to travel. Rob says Ireland is his happy place, for instance. For her part, Sam loves experiencing her ancestral lands and has found a few awesome ways to bring that back home. She's into genealogy, loves cooking old world recipes, and, this is extra cool, she is planting a heritage garden with flowers from Germany, Ireland, and Scotland. Kind of love that. Rob, meanwhile, is passionate about Celtic music and especially Irish rebel tunes. He's currently taking boron lessons. Another passion of his is sailing. He has a small boat of his own, and he's crewed the A.J. Meerwald, New Jersey's own tall ship. Rob and Sam got their first kilts together on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. It was 2018 and their very first time visiting the UK and Ireland. Their love of the kilt is sort of an outgrowth, really, of their love of clothing in general. You see, the pair have done Ren Fair costuming for some time and are also avid Trekkies. They have a great collection of uniforms. I admit I'm a tad jealous. And yes, Rob fully intends to go full-on Scotty and create a kilted dress uniform in the near future. Both Rob and Sam are sewers. Rob has actually hand-sewn most of his own kilts, and he's done a few for the wife as well. Impressive enough, but get this, Rob also made his very first kilt pin in a home-built forge. He also built a 4-shaft loom and used that to weave a scarf in his family tartan. As he says, professions of the past make for extremely rewarding hobbies. When it comes to kilts, Sam says, "Kilts are a great conversation starter. The fit and the flare look gives a great shape. I also love making matching accessories for a more complete look. And I love showing off my colors, be it my German heritage tartan kilt, our family tartan kilt, or any of the others in between." As you've probably guessed, Sam and Rob really believe in going full steam ahead into whatever feeds your soul. In their words, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Embrace life. And in a relationship, remember that all things come together for good. Even the bad contributes to the good because you are building a fulfilling life together. So, Sam and Rob are two of the most delightful young people I've met in a long time. I've had the chance to meet them at our company anniversary party last spring, in fact. And I just want to say we could all do better to follow their example. Go out there and actually do something that really feeds your soul. Thank you, Rob and Sam, for the inspiration. Keep it up. You're on a great path.
Here's to Mr. Nunn and his wife.
The nuns.
The nuns.
The
yes.
nuns and their nunnery.
All of them. The nuns.
All soon to be 3 of them.
Indeed.
That's
Quite.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very, very nice guy.
And-
Local guy. Local-ish. Grew up.
Yeah.
He lives right near where I grew up in Sellersville.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Okay. But I just, Emma was saying that I knew he was taking boron lessons. I didn't realize he was taking them from
Matt. Yeah.
Our Matt,
Resident.
tartan expert resident sales guy downstairs. One of the crew, one of Emma's
It's a great
crew.
title.
I didn't realize
Tartan
that.
resident expert.
Remember, it's like, what was it, like tartan
sales guy.
consultants?
I have no idea what
We had a title for people working on the
Emma,
sales
what's your
team.
title?
Secondary marketplace coordinator, but I'm special. I
Secondary
go with customer service specialist.
customer service specialist. Okay.
Because she works for, or she does our Etsy as well as Amazon stuff.
Okay.
So secondary
So
marketplace.
CSS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They're wonderful
Yeah.
humans, all of them.
They really are.
Yes.
They really are.
And including the nuns. So, to bring it back around. All right.
All right. Is it my turn now?
No, Emma.
It's
Emma.
Emma's turn.
You
I'm sorry.
rogue.
I'm just,
How dare you step over
I got all these
wonderful
questions
Emma.
and we keep talking. And
I know. We won't shut the hell up. Go
Okay.
ahead, Emma.
Alrighty. So got a question from David Baca. He's considering a great kilt for the Texas Renaissance Festival. What material would you suggest? And do we have a video for idiots? He has a standard kilt, but the great kilt has him intrigued. And then he also clarified that in Texas, in October to November, it can vary from 50 to 90 degrees all in the same day.
Yep, I've heard that.
So
Yep.
What
It's
material?
not quite desert conditions, but
material for a great kilt in Texas in the summer winter.
I'd go with 11-ounce wool.
Yeah, I think either 11-ounce wool or PV. So if it's
PV
90,
PV will not breathe as well or keep you quite as warm.
but you can throw it in the wash
But you can throw it in the wash.
if it gets hot.
When I think of Texas, my only reference is mud, because I have a friend who worked down there. But she was more, I think, East Texas, and they have like a mud season down where she was. So she used to tell me these horror stories about all the roads shutting down because you couldn't get through, But so a lot of mud, and I guess that would mean a lot of dust. But I don't know. Texas is a huge place, so I can't say. But I would say, yeah, PV maybe. But I'm a little tempted to say 11-ounce wool would be better for cold temperatures at night. But yeah, we do not have a how-to video on great kilts yet. And that's partially due to my lack of desire to be in my underwear on camera. But at
Whereas
some point
I have been on my
to great aplomb, apparently. And great,
yes,
Great event.
yes. Number one TikTok video is Rocky in his underwear. Creeps me out on many levels.
Creeps
but
you out. Anyway, I would highly recommend if you are a member of the Kilts and Culture Facebook group, ping some people on there. There are several great kilt wearers there, and you will get the best advice on what you can do for it in terms of how to put it on efficiently from them. If you're camping at the festival, I think that introduces other parameters into how you're going to do it versus if you are driving to the site each day so you can dress at home.
yeah, I was gonna with the mud thing. First of all, my brain wouldn't stop singing Primus. My name is Mud, for the record. So I was half off in another land while you were in Primus land. Les Claypool, spectacular bassist. But if you're worried about mud and heat and washability, then PV lighter weight, 11-ounce fabric. If you're worried about a little bit warmer and or breathability, then I would probably go with 11-ounce wool, but
Yeah.
not quite as washable as PV would be. So it's kind of wool is the fabric for all seasons to a degree.
Yeah.
But PV is washable and stain resistant and mud repellent.
Here's the thing. One of the reasons that the PV that we offer, at least, is stain resistant is because it has a Teflon coating on it. And so we will go to great pains to advise that people who have a PV kilt do not use fabric softener, wash on cold, all that kind of stuff. Okay, to make sure you do not strip away that Teflon coating, which is very useful. However, I never offer that advice for a great kilt because I find that the PV, without some beating up in the washing process, will not lay as nicely. You want a great kilt, unlike a tailored kilt, to be a mushier, softer, and to flow differently. It just flows better and flows differently the softer it gets. So I actually will say, okay, for a great kilt in PV, go ahead, the first time you wash it on hot, beat the hell out of it, help it to loosen up, soften up a little bit. It's going to look better as a great kilt. It's not going to be as stiff as a great kilt. So keep that in mind. That said, yeah, it's easily washable. Now, the wool, you let that mud dry to dust, and you can shake it out. You can brush it out. You don't have to wash the wool. The fibers will release the dirt. You can just beat it like a carpet, shake it out, and it'll be pretty good. Unless you're like rolling around in a mud pit next to the porta potties, in which case, what the hell is wrong with you? So yeah, I would go with either the PV or a lightweight wool. It's going to depend to some extent on what yardage of great kilt you're opting for, and how you tolerate the heat in general. So I would not do the extra yardage the way some guys do, because they want more yardage to play with for doing the over-the-head cloak effect and things like that. And I would say if you are heat intolerant, take that into account. Yeah.
I pretty much agree. Yep.
Hopefully that helps.
Indeed. Was that you or Emma?
That was Emma.
Okay. Eric, would you regale us?
TJ Heron.
That whiskey is good. It's
It
still
really-
going down.
I know.
It's still going down good.
Yep.
I don't want to drink coffee,
Super
but I
good.
have to maintain. Must maintain.
Alcohol, caffeine level.
There's a balance. There's a sleep deprivation, caffeine, alcohol. It's all in balance. It's all
Get you
good
into,
things.
into the creative zone.
Into the zone, exactly.
Yep.
That's good stuff.
It is. It's good stuff if you can get it. All right. So TJ Heron asked us kind of a classic question. Can you visually tell the difference between an 8-yard and a 5-yard wool kilt?
Can I? Yes. Can most people? Probably not. I wouldn't worry too much about it, honestly. The difference between a 5 and 8-yard kilt is you're gonna see it in two ways. One, you're gonna see the swish of the kilt and the amount of swing in the pleats, and it's the set, whether it's the true set or the mock set, and or the width of the pleats. If you're 99% of the people in the world won't be able to tell the difference between an 8-yard kilt and a 5-yard kilt. So if money is an issue, then 5-yard kilt, you're fine. If money isn't an issue, then get an 8-yard kilt. The 8-yard kilt is going to have narrower pleats because you have more fabric to play with, and those pleats are also going to be a little bit deeper. Therefore, it's going to be a little bit nicer swish as you walk. If it is a 5-yard kilt, they're going to be a little bit wider, and they're going to be a little bit shallower, so they're not going to swing quite as nicely. But again, who's going to know? Like, most people don't understand what they're looking at. If you're at a wedding and you're the only guy in a kilt, no one's going to know. Wear what you have, you're fine. If you're looking for the ideal, the pinnacle, the chef's kiss of kilts, as it were, then yes, go with an 8-yard kilt. Thoughts?
More or less the same. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be going to events with a lot of other guys who are kilted, you might want to have the nicer kilt, just because when you see the two of them side by side, you can tell better. And it's a matter of distance. There's sort of a inverse of a 10-foot rule with a kilt. I mean, you can see that the pleats are different. You can see that there's not as much swish. You can see it's not splaying the same way when you move or bend or sit down between a 5-yard and 8-yard. But 10 feet away, your average Joe is not going to be able to tell the difference. And again, if you're the only person in the room, don't worry about it. If it's a matter of having it for daily wear because you want to be a serial kilter, yeah, go with a 5-yard. That's fine. So yeah,
Agreed. That's pretty easy.
pretty much.
Cool.
Oh,
You.
Yes.
Hey, you over there.
you
Me over here.
horrible monkey.
All right. So I've got a.
Ren and Stimpy. That's
No.
one we haven't really gone after.
That's not Ren and Stimpy. That's Invader Zim.
Oh, I still love Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy is
We
good.
got to do Ren and Stimpy at some point. You bloated sack of protoplasm.
Well, we got to do the Canadian kilted Mounties then.
Yeah, there's a lot of
We
Ren and
proudly
Stimpy.
wear women's clothing. We're
Toast.
the Canadian
Wait, what's the toast one?
kilted Yaxmen. That's it.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Powdered Toast Man.
Powdered toast, man. Yeah. Okay.
You're showing
Emma,
your age. Hi, Emma.
You have no idea
It
what
is
the hell
all right.
we're talking
Yeah.
about.
I wouldn't know about Ren and Stimpy. If
Welcome
not
to
for
the
Lance.
conversation, Emma.
You child.
Not familiar. All right. Andrew Cooper wants to know, how do you know what color jacket to wear with your kilt? So,
Day or evening?
he didn't
Or
qualify.
what level of formality is he envisioning?
Yeah, I think he didn't. We can ask him for sure.
Well, then the
I
answer
think-
is just getting more long-winded.
Great job,
Very
Emma.
fair. Very fair. I think day wear is more interesting because how do you guys pick out tweed colors with your
Mm-hmm.
kilts? What goes through your minds?
Good save. It's almost like it's only her third time on the show. You did
nice.
You're doing a great job.
Be nice.
Thank you.
Doing a
This is
good
a very
job.
good job.
Yes. for
Jacket colors.
formal, yeah, let's start. For formal, yeah, black. If you want to be a little bit over the top, potentially red, which is very over the top, or a bottle green or a navy if you want
Right.
to be a little bit different.
Yep.
If it specifies black tie affair, then black would be the appropriate jacket. For day wear, which is the more interesting option, as Emma has pointed out, there's really two ways that I tend to kind of coordinate the outfit. Well, three. First is the jacket to match with the hose. Forget that the kilt exists and just match the jacket to the hose, and then the kilt kind of stands out on its own. Option B is the jacket, the tweed that you're wearing with the jacket, to tone with one of the colors in the kilt, extremely well and kind of color coordinate the outfit. Americans tend to be a little bit more matchy-matchy than the Scots do. So that's, kind of the way that we go about things. Option C, the Scottish way, you wear the jacket you want. It doesn't matter. You wear a bright green, not bright green, but you wear a green or a yellowish green or a bluish green tweed, and then you wear the kilt that you have and you wear the hose that you want. And it's kind of a little bit more of a hodgepodge, mix and match, fun, but it all blends together bit.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Basically that. I think that basically when you're just getting into this, go for natural, neutral colors, grays, charcoals, browns, tans, because then it's just kind of natural neutral. It doesn't matter if it matches a color in the tartan or not. But then what you realize is that some tweeds, a lot of tweeds, actually have flecks of color in them which will be accentuated by colors in the tartan. The advantage of that is a lot of time you will find a nice tweed which actually works with more than one tartan, on the assumption that you are going to have more than one kilt. Like this brown right here actually has some nice tones in it. I can make this work with either a tartan that's not going to matter, like this one. You could sort of imagine there's some brown in this, even though there isn't, but it works. Or I could make sure I'm being really matchy, and you can't see it, but there's like actually some greens and blues and mustards in this tweed. But there's some base browns that go perfectly with that. So that's the beauty of tweed, is that you can be really creative, you can be really obsessive, but it's also very forgiving. So if you're just getting started, go with something neutral, like a charcoal or a gray. That's going to be even easier than getting into browns. And if you're you have some with you? Why do you have those here?
Do you not carry swatches of tartan and tweed
Excuse
with
me
you
while I
at all
whip out
times?
this swatch.
Of course. I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah.
Or have I distracted you sufficiently?
Bastard. I think the more you're talking about outerwear, the less it matters. If you're talking about a leather jacket, bomber jacket, pea coat, something that's for protective purposes, nobody cares. If you're talking about smart day wear, like tweeds, or if you're talking about semi-dress, then there's a lot to play around with. But you start with neutrals and then work your way into brighter and brighter colors, basically.
Yeah, tweeds run the gamut. The beauty of tweed is that it can match, but it doesn't have to. Now, so these are the most recent addition to Martin Mills ranges. I don't know why I brought
Did
these
you talk
in.
about them last month or something?
No, I
are they in
have
the
them
studio?
here. I don't know why I have them. I have them. Just don't question me. So they have these are kind of new colors. These are all essentially browns. They have a like dark chocolate, almost black brown. They have a new brown that is like bang on with freaking weathered tweed. Sorry, I'm out of the shot there. Here.
We're gonna do this
Here we
with
go. It's beautiful.
It's got a security camera.
There's my gut. But we have that, and then there's like this like a little bit of a hint of blue as
More than
well
hint,
as
I can see-
green.
yeah, there's blues and greens
Yeah,
and-
it's like a navy blue
Yeah.
with brown kind of tweed in there. So these are just 3 random examples of new tweeds, and they go as much as you want them to or don't want them to. Again, the beauty of the tweed is you can match the tartan, or you can go against the grain and not match at all. That is the more historically accurate, for lack of a better term, way that the Scots would do it. Is they'll wear the greenish, bluish, brownish, whatever tweed with the kilt that they have. The more current trend, going to the actual swatches of tartan that we have from Martin Mills, are their wedding / rental / hire industry is going for more softer kind of colors. So these are tweeds or tartans that I picked up at the trade show.
Okay.
Where they're just going for beautiful designs. So this is their Kintyre collection, which is
that's why you brought them
soft. Yeah, I'm not bringing it in for a sales purpose.
No, but
I'm
you're
bringing
showing
it in
something
for
you
like
saw,
showing something new
example of
and
what you saw at a
fun.
trade show.
Exactly. So this one has like a little bit of purple and navy and gray in it. This one has like multiple shades of blue in it, and then they brought out tweeds to match them and tone with them. So even in Scotland, you have this trend towards, wear whatever you have, whatever you want, doesn't have to match. And then you have trends for weddings for zennials and younger people in their 20s and early 30s who want to match, who want to be fashion forward, who don't care what the design is called. They just know that, my bride wants our colors to be, blue and brown. Great. Here's one that matches that. What do you call it? Scottish Midnight Barons. Cool. Scottish Midnight Pete. Don't care. Like it. Like the pattern. She likes it. Therefore, that's what I'm going to go with for me and my groomsmen. And then we're going to go with this tweed because it matches that one, bang on.
Yep.
So it's a weird kind of confluence of, a tradition of wear whatever the hell you have, and no, I want to be fashion forward and kind of move towards the more matchy-matchy effect that, other cultures have within it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Fashion. Yeah. So there's a lot you can do. My advice would be, if you are shopping for jackets at a stewer, take the kilt with you or take a swatch of the tartan with you. If you are buying something custom and you're not sure, either go to the place in person so you can see the swatches they have, or order the swatches of the ones you like online so you can be very sure that you feel like it looks good with your kilt in all kinds of light. You want to see how it's going to look in sunlight and indoor lighting. Swatches are your friend if you're not in a hurry. That's why we offer them. So that's a good way to go. Basically.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers the
Yeah,
question.
but there are more tweed options for colors than there are tartans that might fall within your color palette. So if you're going to have to pick one first over another, I would say pick the tartan that you like most first, and then move into the different color tweeds and decide whether you want a complementary color or something that tones and matches it.
Yeah.
And those are subtle differences, but they're different.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And for how I choose, I very much made a point of looking at swatches of tweeds and picking some tweeds for my vests, because I have a lot more vests than jackets, that I knew would go with more than one tartan. So I have a couple that are like a maroon and rust kind of a color that I know will go with at least 2 or 3 tartans in my collection. So I like that flexibility. So
yeah. Now
and cheap.
And we're both a bit of close horses.
Think?
Yes, as you do. But I tend to be a little bit more on the matchy side than the toning juxtaposing side. So I don't like the greenish yellow tweed with my modern tartan. I would tend to do navies and blues or bottle greens, kind of with a modern tartan than something that's more contrasty. It is done. I'm not saying that I'm the right way to do it. I'm saying that's the way that I tend to do it. Although I also like, tattersall shirts and, pattern shirts and things like that with a kilt, which is a little bit more traditional, fusty, old-timey than tends to be. Yes.
We better get on to some more questions.
Okay.
It's getting late.
Fine. Sorry. Meandering.
Talking about clothes.
I
we
nerd
just
out
can't
about
shut up.
new tweeds and new tartans and stuff.
Okay.
Sorry, Mom.
It's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. This is a good one. Mr. Travis Bennett, in his infinite wisdom, has queried us this. Lately, I've seen marketing for cable knit sweaters with clan-specific knitting patterns. Clan-specific knitting patterns. I'm wondering whether these are a new concept or if it has deep historical roots. When did this originate? So clan or family specific knitting patterns for cable knit sweaters. We are primarily talking about Irish now. The Irish invention of the what's often called the Aran knit sweater.
Indeed. Quite. Spoiler alert. It's marketing. There's a current push for clan specific. This is the Murphy pattern, and the story that is spun is that these poor dead fishermen that washed up on shore, how they were identified was their clan sweaters. It's not true. There's historical evidence of a play.
There was a play.
There was a play.
Yep. A play.
A play. One play. Only one play.
In like the 19 teens or 20s.
Yes.
I can't remember the title right now.
Exactly. Not hundreds of years old. 100 years old. Where a woman recognized that a sweater, one, that washed up, had a couple, two, dropped stitches, which she recognized as her own work, so that it was her husband who had washed up, and that is essentially it. And then that was extrapolated and said, well, that's how you identify all dead Irish fishermen who wash up on the shore, 27 times a day. Which, how that's not voted the most, dangerous job in the world ever, don't know.
It's pretty dangerous, but yeah.
Apparently. But no, it is marketing. Now, that said, if you like it, if it's fun, if it means something to you, great, buy it. If your name is Murphy and you come across the Murphy Irish clan pattern sweater and you're like, wow, that's a really cool looking sweater and it has my name on it, great, buy it. There is a tradition, a broader tradition in marketing in companies of naming products names. So we have bags in the store called an Emily bag, a Fiona bag. There are different, companies have to give a product a name so that they differentiate it within their stock. So if my name is Emily and I look like an Emily, I know. It's the beard. If I walk into a store and I see this tweed handbag and I look at the tag and I go, oh, Emily, my name is Emily and I happen to like that bag, great. I might add that little bit of meaning onto my purchase of the bag because it was meant to be, because my name is Emily and the bag's name is Emily and I like the tweed. Great. Wonderful. Have at it. If it means something to you, wonderful. If your name is Murphy and you like the pattern in a Murphy Irish sweater, great. Buy it. No one is stopping you from buying it. But it's not a long entrenched historical thing. It is marketing that is fun, but it is not necessarily as meaningful as people want it to be. It does not have this story. We are here as stewards of truth as much as we can be, and we are going to tell you it's not a real thing. If it means something to you, great. Do it. Have fun with it. Don't not do it because it's a new thing. But it's a new thing.
Yep. Basically that. The odds of you walking down the street in your Murphy sweater and seeing somebody else who sees your sweater and says, oh, you're a fellow Murphy, I recognize your weave pattern, is slim to none. So yeah, there weren't two companies in Ireland who came up with this stuff specifically for appealing to the tourist market. The predecessor to this was the idea that certain knit patterns of Aran sweaters were rooted in spiritual symbols, biblical symbols. And that goes back to a book written by a guy who was a shopkeeper. And of course, I'm not remembering his name, or the title of the book was like the Divine Origins of Weaving or something like that. And knitting. He was, knitting. And he was looking at sweaters around town, and he thought that some of the knotwork designs reminded him of biblical stuff or spiritual stuff. So he started basically inventing it. He invented this whole lexicon for them, and he published it in a book. The book, of course, hit a romantic tone, hit a nerve, and so it's sold. And to this day, people are convinced that basically Aran sweater patterns are related to these ancient Celtic, Christian, Catholic symbols, for good luck or faith in God or salvation or whatever. it's not true. I don't know whether the guy believed it sincerely or not, or if he did because he was going to sell the books in his shop. But that is mythic. The history of Aaron Sawyers is actually a lot shorter than most people think. They were invented purely out of practicality to keep guys from going hypothermic. Period. They're basically indestructible and probably the single most efficient warmth layer ever invented. But their invention doesn't go back more than like the 1880s or so. Believe it or not.
And it was also brought to the Aran Islands.
Yes.
It wasn't invented there.
It was part of a civic. It was
thing.
part of a concerted civic effort because the Aran Islands were undergoing horrible conditions. They needed all the help they could get to save the fishing industry.
Yeah.
So they brought in expert fishermen from other parts of the UK and the Orkneys to show these people other fishing techniques. And when those guys came over to teach them new fishing techniques and to just help them do the work, they brought their families with them. And so the wives of those fishermen said, here's how we make sweaters back home. Here's how we do this. And then the women in the island said, oh, that's great, but I could do this better. So they turned it into their own thing, but the roots of it actually came from other places.
Now, here's the question.
Sorry.
Would going back to the book or not analogy, but the book example, do you think that instead of it, obviously it didn't have religious and those kind of connotations right out of the box, that wasn't imbued in the origins of it, and it evolved into these things and kind of play with it again through marketing. But were there regional patterns potentially within it? In the same way that there's regional dyes or regional tartans within Highland.
I think people will try and tell you that. That's another way they market them. And I think, oh, this is the pattern from X and X village.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some truth to that because when you're learning to knit, you're learning
from your friends who are local.
Well, from your family.
Yeah.
So the grain of truth is the fact that handcrafts are passed down from parent to daughter, parent to son, whatever. And so you have a familial tradition, and by extension a community tradition of this is how we've always done it. I'm going to show you my favorite stitch. And so some of this stuff has become ingrained and because of that natural human function, and this is how culture develops. This is where culture comes from, and that is the grain of truth behind all this stuff we're talking about, is that basically you had familial traditions of how to make a thing. And for better or for worse, the symbology that the guy came up with in his book has lasted, and the names of the stitches is useful. So when they retain it, like, oh, if you want to refer to X stitch, like, oh, well, that's the lily stitch, or oh, that's a cross stitch. So it is handy for people to communicate about the art. So a practical element of it has been retained for practicality.
Yeah. There's always the way that I always try to look at history is through a lens of the KISS model. Keep it simple. What is the Occam razor? What's the simplest solution? What is the probable cause for how a certain thing evolved? It's probably true. And if there's a big, illustrious, beautiful, well-rounded story, it's probably marketing and somebody taking it and running with it. So there's less truth there, and you kind of have to dig through it and think about it critically and say, okay, well, did the person who developed this stitch really think that this meant that this was the symbol of the cross through Christianity and da-da-da-da, or was it just this is a pretty design that they liked and it kind of came down through a particular family, and then which became a region, which became a thing in an area. So think about things critically and go through it through that lens, and then I don't know.
And the other reason these meanings get heaped onto objects is when the object is no longer entirely practical for its purpose. It's been superseded by newer technology. People don't rely on it anymore. So there is the risk of it not being made anymore because it doesn't matter anymore on a practical materialist level. Therefore, if you can imbue the object with spiritual, cultural, emotional value, you are incentivizing people to preserve the art form. You see that in tartan. You see that in Japanese crafts. I'm a big fan of all the traditional Japanese stuff, like sword making and kosode making and stuff like that, ikat, all that stuff. If you make it, this is our thing, and this is our legacy, then you're preserving the art form. So people very quickly will put emotional layers on top of something that's initially just practical because they don't want to see it go away.
And people need to find meaning in things.
Absolutely.
And there's an innate human desire to see deeper into it and imbue a thing with more meaning than it naturally has. Because it can't just be a pretty pattern. It must mean something. And it has to be a soul-searching thing that's within it. So, yeah.
And frankly, it just helps you remember better.
That's
it
fair
engages
too.
more parts of your brain.
Yeah.
So,
but that's how it evolves, and that's the fun part of it. Yeah. Okay.
Emma, I hope you're nodding over here as an anthropologist, a fellow
Yes.
anthropologist. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
this just in. I got word that the author of that book is Heinz Edgar Q.
Thank you. Did Matt give that to you?
Wrote the Sacred History
of
Knitting. Yes, Matt. Our,
Thanks, Matt.
Fact checker.
We just filmed a video about this like a month or so ago, and I've already I always forget. I forget names. It is the most frustrating thing in my life as a history nerd is forgetting names. Drives me up a freaking wall.
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah. Right, Helen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I'm not even joking. It drives me up. It drives me up.
I get it.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Matt.
Yeah. All right. My turn. Adam Langham here wants to know: do we recommend different kinds of hose for tall guys with big calves? I know this is an issue Matt downstairs runs down to. He's about 6'4" and tree trunk legs.
What has he settled on as a solution?
So he does the Piper hose because they have the extra long cuff, but he just cuffs it over once.
That's the height issue, not the width issue.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
He I think there is a width issue there too, because when he takes them down, pulls them down, you can see like a fish scale print left on his leg.
Yeah.
So that's what he does, but yeah.
Okay. For taller gents, finding a pair of hose that will turn down twice, i.e. Piper hose or the cotton hose that we have, are a great option. For stretchiness, if you are, whatever height, and you have, excessively large legs, then the Lewis hose stretch a little bit more. They're up to, let's say, 19 inches as far as calf circumference. If your legs are exceedingly large, tree trunk-esque, then I would say the Harris hose from House Cheviot, again, I think they go up to like 25 or 26 inches for diameter of calf. So those are excessively large. They're a great option for those gents.
Yeah. Basically.
Yep. Pretty short answer.
Yep.
So
And don't wash them in hot water. And don't put them in the dryer.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Emma for another one from the audience.
That's a good idea.
Yes,
Okay.
that's a short one.
Because our next one's
short one.
we're gonna dig into that one too. So.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Us wax poetic and ramble on for hours, never.
All right, so from Sean Mertens, he wants to know, as a new kilt wearer who is in high school and wants to wear a kilt to high school, what would you recommend? So we haven't been age restricted here.
Talk
Sure.
to the authorities first.
No, don't talk to the authorities.
Really?
Forget the authorities.
Okay.
Damn the man, save the empire. Sorry, old movie quotes. As someone whose wife is on a school board, I understand. I would say this, in all honesty, wear underwear. Like, don't even let it be a question. Don't let it be a thing. Just wear frickin' underwear. You don't want the other kids in your class. You don't want the authorities. You don't want the school board. You don't want the teachers. You don't want the principal coming at you for not wearing underwear. Don't let it be a thing. Just freaking wear underwear. Start there. Yeah, that would be my first thing. In the year 2024, with things being a little bit more fluid as they are, I would say if you're nervous about it and you're in a bit more conservative area and you're concerned you're going to get yelled at or kicked out of school, sure, ask permission. But I generally find it's a little bit easier to ask forgiveness than permission. And if you're wearing underwear, you're wearing a kilt, you're showing it a little bit more heritage-esque, and you have that built-in excuse, air quotes, then sure, I would just kind of wear it and have fun with it. Maybe give your teacher a heads up. Maybe give your vice principal or principal a heads up. Hey, on Monday, is it cool if I wear my kilt? You know, it's Heritage Day. It maybe hook it to St. Patrick's Day. Maybe hook it to a reason or like Tartan Day or something
At least
like
to start.
that. Yeah, to start.
Yeah.
Maybe hook it to a reason and then say, hey, is it cool if I do this? I really want to do it. It's part of my heritage. Don't worry. I'm going to be wearing underwear, because really that's their main concern. They don't want it to be a distraction in the classroom and for other people, and or have a legal, a minor wearing something without underwear, kind of thing. So, yeah, as long as you're wearing underwear, as long as you have a reason for wearing it, as long as you're wearing it respectfully, and you're not trying to be disruptive, there generally would be a little bit more forgiving of it. There are absolutely schools who will not want you to do it. And if you ask, if you're in a little bit more of a conservative dress area, they might, don't do that. So if you ask permission and they say no, and then you do it, you're going to get in trouble. If you don't ask permission, but you're not doing anything wrong necessarily, you may get, sneak under the wire or get away with it. But maybe talk to your parents first and make sure they're cool with you doing it. So
that's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah.
We have sidestepped the whole question of whether or not this person has permission from their parental units.
Yeah.
If your parental units have given you permission to do this, then make sure they know ahead of time that, hey, today's the day I'm going to wear the kilt to school for the first time.
If you get a call in the middle of the
day,
day,
it's because of this. If you have, somebody who you are friendly with on staff, like a teacher or a coach or, an administrator or something, then that helps. It's kind of the same advice we would give to somebody who wants to wear a kilt to work, essentially. And yeah, I mean, you could beg forgiveness instead of asking permission. I have a friend who, she was telling about how in high school she had a bet on with her mom about whether she would get hauled into the principal's office for wearing a wallet chain. And her mom was like, don't do it. No. And she's like, I'm doing it because I'm going to find out if I can get away with it. And the answer was she didn't. But
a wallet chain?
A wallet chain.
What year was this?
90s.
Jesus.
Yep.
People.
Mm-hmm. So she's a gal I'm going to the This Is Not Croydon festival with.
Oh, nice.
My kindred sister. Yeah, she's a big ska head, big rude, she's a
rude
rude girl. So yeah,
rude boy.
Yep. So yes, we have data. This just in.
No, I had an opinion.
Oh,
Emma's
I have
point.
an opinion.
Emma has an
An
opinion.
opinion.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I was a little bit closer to high school. I'm out. I'm
Rubbing
I'm
it
just
in.
saying. I'm just
Tread
saying.
lightly, my friend.
All right, Sean. I was there not too long ago.
Please,
not
please.
too long ago.
Please elaborate.
Yes.
In the 1800s, it was very different for Eric and I. Emma, last year in high school, finds it different. Go ahead, tell us.
So my advice for kilt wearing in high school is that when I was in high school, before I gave up, my backpack weighed about 200 pounds. Like, it was a lot. It had sat really low on my back, and it was, so I would test out if you were wearing your kilt to class, like throughout your, I would test out wearing the backpack, the belt, the sporran, all at the same time. It's a lot to have.
So you're going practical.
Yeah, I'm going
practical
practical
advice. Oh, that's great.
I mean,
That's
I
where
got
your
dress
hunch
coded
came
all
from.
the time.
Okay.
It's not that big of a deal. Just tell. I would say, tell your parents you're going to do it, and then if they get a call, they can be like, "It's a kilt." I'm not mad at it. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, test out all the stuff that you keep on you in high school.
That's a good point.
Are there any rules? Were there any rules in your high school of recent times that didn't allow for guys to wear a kilt? You can think of?
Not
Like, did they have,
necessarily. It was a looser
uniform?
dress code. It was there wasn't super strict things torn. It was just if you upset someone, then you got sent. So it's really just depends, I think, on your school and how well you get along with people there.
Make sure it's past the fingertips.
Yes, fingertip length was a rule.
Yes.
No yoga pants was another rule.
Really?
So don't do that. No yoga pants and a kilt.
There goes my Saturday.
That's 2 rules.
Well, I know, and some kids get in trouble with metal accessories because of metal detectors
Yeah.
now. So you might want to consider if your school has metal detectors or a very active security personnel, you might want to do a sporn strap instead of a sporn chain. Little details like that might actually
That's a good
be
point.
helpful.
Sporn strap. Yeah.
Definitely no skein do.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I think.
Yeah. Simpler, easier. Tone it down a bit. So I think your point about the metal sporn chain is a great idea. No skin do, ski and do 100%. I wouldn't even do a kilt pin necessarily. Don't give them any reason. Yeah, it comes back to this. Don't give them any reason to say no or you can't do it again. So wear underwear, no ski and do, no kilt pin, sporn strap, not a sporn chain. Simple. Wear the rest of your outfit like you normally would for the school. Make sure it's representing heritage properly if you're wearing it for heritage reason, so that you can kind of hook it to that. Wear it for a specific event. Make sure that your parents are on board with it, and then deal with the fallout. What's the worst you're going to get? Detention? It's fine.
Yeah, I'd say again, at least to start. It may be that once these people are acclimated to seeing you in it, you can start changing up your outfits and your options and stuff. But I feel like we should do this as an after-school special PSA or 1950s film strip. Like, remember, kids, the 5 rules of wearing a kilt to school. Number 1. Number 2. I'm gonna do that. Adam, we're gonna do that
Yes.
with a film strip sound effect and everything.
But not here right now live.
No,
We'll do
sorry.
it later apparently.
Sorry.
It's fine. Have fun. Report back when you do it.
Yeah, pictures.
Tell us how it happened. Send us photos, video, whatever you got. And if you are another young person who want to wear a kilt to school, tell us what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. There was a thing, for guys wanting to wear a kilt to prom 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was a
that they
problem back then.
It was a problem. Schools freaked out about it. Oh my God, he's not going to wear underwear. Oh my, suck it up, Buttercup. But I'm curious now today because I haven't heard any issues with guys wearing a kilt to prom in the last few years. So I'm curious. Let us know.
Let's make that our question of the day. Remember I said we should do the question earlier?
Sure.
Let's make our question of the day.
Go ahead.
What do you, as either a young person or a parent perhaps, think of kilts in the classroom and kilts at prom? Should kids in middle school through high school be allowed to wear kilts, and how should they do it?
In a non-uniformed school.
In a non-uniform school, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you have if your kid goes to a school with his uniform, your opinion does not matter. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Turn away now. But I'm curious what your opinions are.
I think that's a good question.
Yes, we're going to ask. So that's the question of the day. We're asking it now. Start filling in the comments, and then Emma towards the end is going to tell us what people think and stuff and things, and whatnot.
That's the theory.
Yes. Let's see if it works.
More of a chance to do something with that.
Was that you or her?
Content. That was her.
Okay, you.
Okay. All right, here we go. Chuck Marks has asked us, he's observed, previously it has been mentioned by us, pretty much, that Hollywood makes period kilts too muted, dark, and so that they kind of blend in with the surroundings. Very just dark and drab. Generally not as bright as some of the paintings depict. Do you feel that the Glen Affric tartan, which we now have access to, actually supports that viewpoint? Or at least for the average wearer, were more muted colors actually more common than we think? And Carla McLaughlin was asking about how they figured out what the colors were. So I think we can touch on both of those things in the process of answering this.
Sure. If only we had an example of the Glen Affric tartan. Oh wait, yes we do. I would say, yeah, I think Hollywood's gotten it wrong to a degree, but they're playing into a stereotype that people want to believe or that they think is true, in that everything in the Dark Ages was dark. Everything pre-1800s was old and muddy and dirty and browns and grays. Exactly. This is the Glen Affric tartan. They took a painstaking process of Now, this isn't obviously the actual piece. This is the recreation and the actual piece. Yes, I'm just throwing it around. That's fine. Yeah, we got it here.
It's only 500 years old.
Yeah, you know.
Hey, there's a spill in the kitchen I want to wipe up.
Yeah, exactly. So they went through a painstaking process of an acid bath and some other kind of cleaning solution over 14 weeks or something like that to strip out the peat staining that was in the actual piece of cloth. They carbon dated it. They did all this, a lot of research on a piece of cloth to make sure that they were representing the colors. And they went through testing of the dyes that were used to try to figure out the materials that were used in the dyes in the cloth.
Yep. Chemical testing, microscopic photography. Again, a lot of cleaning processes with both acidic and alkaline solutions to remove the peat and the tannins and stuff that were deposited on the fibers from the soil. It's basically stripping all that away first, so they had a pure sample, because the presence of the peat would have contaminated the carbon-14 dating also. Yep. So first that, and then all the chemical testing and microscopic photography and all this kind of stuff. So yes, proceed.
Yeah. So this is essentially a reasonably accurate, as best as can be done scientifically, representation of what the tartan would have looked like. Are there examples of tartans from the 1700s, 1600s that were, more colorful, or were they all browns and grays and drab and there's lovely filth down here, Stuart, to quote Monty Python. There's a painting of Lord Mungo Murray where he's wearing a tartan that is yellow and red with a bunch of different stripes in it, that the colors of yellow and red look very, very similar to this. Yeah. It's something that we, put together recently when we got this question in.
That particular painting is the one, it's between 1668 to 1700. Yeah. Now, that painting, of course, I think we're looking at unrestored versions of the painting. So it was probably actually brighter colors in real life, but the palette is very similar to what you're seeing here. Now, that's about 150, 175 years after this specimen, which is from the 1520s to 1600. Probably 1520s based on the carbon-14 dating, but the 16th century, a.k.a. 1500s, for sure. So
now the question that I have is fashion trends. Could there have been a fashion trend somewhere during the 1500s to 1800s, or late 1700s? Where there was browns and grays and more drab colors? Sure. Fashion nowadays is almost seasonal, or what's the color of the year, or what's the in thing right now, and it's a lot more cyclical with fast fashion. Now back then, 1500s, 1600s, there would have been trends within it as well, whether it's colors, whether it's patterns, whether it's whatever it is, but I don't think it would have necessarily been of the year. It may have been of the decade, and it would have moved slower. The question is, how slow would it have moved? Would these be popular colors for 100 years, or for 50 years, or for 5 years? How fast would fashion have moved? Answer that.
You're asking me?
Go ahead. I'm asking. I have no idea.
7.5 years.
Exactly. Good number.
Per color.
Perfect. That's the answer. Eric has it. Done.
I think there's potential for that, as we have talked about earlier. But the other factor is economics. Is Hollywood getting it wrong still? Yes. I'm sorry. I really still think that they tend to make things darker and more drab than they actually were. Now, was everyone dressed in bright colors? No. We have a strong suspicion, based on what evidence there is, that the brighter color tartans were mostly the province of people of means. The poorer you were, the more likely it was that you needed your clothing fast, and you needed it practical, and you didn't have access to all of the herbs and dyes and minerals, that came from other parts of the country or other parts of the world to make those really cool colors. You have a couple here, because we got some woad that grows around here, and we got lots of nettles that grow over here down in the valley. So we can make these colors
or madder or whatever.
Yeah. But some of these other colors are harder to get, and we don't have. And you know what? It's easier if I just use some wool from this sheep, who's kind of tannish colored, white colored, and then we have Harvey over here, who's a charcoal color, and if I use those, then I can get some colors that way. So the poorer you are, the less color you may have had. We know that richer people have more color, but it was not as drab as people think. And even with the color, there's a variety of sources that came into it. We know that from the analysis that one of the colors in this, at least, the brown, is from the undyed natural wool of a sheep. That color came from just the wool itself. The greens and blues are probably woad or indigo, most likely woad, in my opinion. The other colors are not as sure on, but they are definitely dye materials that were available in the area. It's more a question of the time and the effort that goes into using the dyes to make the cloth. It's the extra effort of having to go through all those steps. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, is economics. The other thing that people don't always keep in mind nowadays is the fact that you very often inherited clothing. A good garment would be passed down to your son or daughter. Very often, if it was a stitched garment, you would be deconstructing it and reconstructing it into something that was more fashionable. But the cloth itself was passed down often through several generations. So things absolutely moved more slowly. I think it's more about social station and economic station, and where we do have pictorial evidence, not the 1500s like this, but for the 1600s and especially the 1700s, they're bright colors. I mean, if you watch Outlander and think that everybody's running around in those really drab tartans that they show, that's not correct. I mean, look at the freaking portraiture from the age, and they're just blazing with color. Look at the Culloden, extant Culloden jacket.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice, rich colors. So I still think Hollywood gets it wrong. They're getting better, but I still think they get it wrong.
I will 100%.
End of sermon.
No, not the end yet.
Take it away, brother.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Testify.
Amen, brother. Hallelujah. I'm going to go at the color and expense angle from the other end. Don't think of it as the trap that I've fallen in is, and I kind of had a light bulb moment just there, is it's not that, hey, I'd like to weave a tartan. Therefore, I want this red and this blue and this purple and this green. So I don't care what it costs. Weave it, versus I want a tartan, but I can't afford those colors. So weave these ones. Don't think of it that way. It's the mill, the person weaving the actual cloth, is saying, okay, I'm going to use this red, this blue, this green, and I'm going to do this design. And now I'm going to make one that's going to be more time efficient, more cost efficient, and I'm just going to use the natural green, the natural brown and the natural black and the natural cream kind of color, ecru, that I have available, and I'm going to make up a pattern within that. So here's the two that I'm going to offer. One didn't need dyeing, and I could do it a lot faster, and it was all local stuff, versus something that was, let's say local dyes, and then one that's more elusive, or, this is from India, this is from, this are, a trade route kind of dyes. So I'm going to offer 3 different options. 1 far-flung dyes, 1 local dyes, 1 non-dyed. Mm-hmm. And those are going to be their 3 price points of this one's the most expensive, this one's a midland, a medium expensive, and this one's the less expensive for people who can't afford to have it dyed, but they still need cloth, they still need clothing. So that's kind of how I just, light bulb thought about it is, okay, well, great. Now as a proprietor, as a mill, as someone who's selling this stuff, I can offer different options. And I'm dropping the cloth, sorry, buddy. I can offer different options within it, but that's more, again, the KISS rule, the Occam's razor, how it probably came about versus people custom, requiring things who didn't have a budget. They would just buy what's available. And the cheapest thing available is non-dyed local sheep.
Mm-hmm. Now that I think you're right there, although that does post-date this particular specimen with Glen Afric, because Glen Afric was definitely homemade.
Yes.
It was drop spun wool. It was definitely, produced in a household setting, let's say, not an industrial setting.
Well, it was also a very, very fine example of drop spindle.
Yep.
It is also a very fine example of, of different things.
We know the wool came from several different sheep, which implies that they were picking out the best wool for this. This was a garment that was made for somebody who had the means and who was important enough to warrant it. The boss.
Yes.
Basically. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Another reason why you should buy it, because you want to look like a boss.
Glen Afric from usakilts.com. Available now. All right.
I love nerding out about this stuff. I'm sure a lot of people are just like, okay.
Indeed.
Shut up.
All right. One more question,
up.
Emma. That was Eric.
Sure.
We've been waxing poetic
Yeah.
for too long. Give us
Yeah.
one more, and then we'll do the question of the day, which we've already done. But we'll ask for answers of the question of the day.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a question from Alex Chittenden. Most of my kilts are on the earthier, darker colors. What would you recommend to someone wanting to expand into brighter, more colorful tartans?
If you tend to do weathered, darker, or like modern, but like black watch, like minimal amounts of color in it, but you want to do something a little bit more fun, a little bit more bold, a little bit more outgoing, maybe look at either a red tartan within the weathered color palette, or look for something in the muted color palette. It kind of splits the difference between modern jewel tone, darker colors versus something that's bold and bright and out there. So there's a lot of muted colors that will go very, very well. Or alternatively, suck it up and jump in with both feet. The water's fine. Find a tartan that you're maybe a little bit uncomfortable with, or it's a little bit outside your normal comfort zone, and do something different and fun. Just resign yourself to the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm going to do one. I'm going to start with one and see what happens. And not to get, like USA Kilt specific, but let's say like Nordic Heritage. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful, so says the guy, the people who designed it, a beautiful tartan with a beautiful medium, but reasonably bright light blue and a marled gray. And there's a lot of kind of neutral tones within it. So maybe do something like that has a singular color that kind of stands out, but a lot of neutral colors as well, and start dipping your toe in the colored waters, so to speak, there. Yeah. Those would be my kind of general thoughts.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. The only tactic I would suggest would be, what's your favorite color? Look at the other clothing in your closet. What do you have the most of? And then find a tartan that's like, oh yeah, I've always really liked aqua, so I'm going to get an aqua tartan. Let's go with that way.
Good point. Find something that you already have access to and that you're most comfortable with. Yeah. Because if you're going to do a bold kind of statement piece color, then pick your favorite one so you're most comfortable wearing it.
Yeah.
Good
Trust
thought.
your gut.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. So, question of the day was, what was the question of the day? You had it, so I forget.
What do you think about kids wearing kilts to prom or even on the daily in school?
Yes. So, let us know down in the comments what you think about kids wearing kilts to school, cultural expression or otherwise, just for fun and, gets and shiggles, so to speak. Emma, have there been any responses from the Peanut Gallery on the question?
Yeah, there have been quite a few people. I'll just blow through some here. Adam Lewis says, classroom, no. Prom, yes. And he points out that he is Scottish. Cool. Harold Connell says, go for it. Zelia says, check the length rules for girls' skirts at your school to see if it falls under that. And then some people talking, Elliot wore a kilt to his homecoming dance in the early 90s. In a very conservative area, but their mascot was a Scot, so it went over pretty well.
There you go.
Kind of had an in right there.
Kilt in class, David Kirk, kilt in classroom, no. Kilt at prom, certainly. Kirk Kinnaman says 100% yes for kids in school and at school functions, but also brings up that bullying can be an issue too. So make sure you've got some support.
Yep, make sure you're ready.
Eric Maxwell says kilt should be allowed in the classroom as long as the wearer treats it with respect. Michaela is saying that her son wore a kilt to his prom in 2004. And Jason points out that if girls at school can wear skirts and dresses, they really shouldn't have an issue with a guy wearing a kilt.
Yeah.
So
I find it interesting. I agree on the goose and gander scenario there. I find it interesting that people are already making the differentiation between a formal event and a daily event. So prom versus in-school kind of daily thing. I love the point, which we didn't make, so thank you for making that, about making sure that, bullying will probably be a thing, so making sure you have a support system. And also, but at the same time, I don't see anyone wearing a kilt to school that would be so influenced by peer pressure. You gotta have a bit of heart, a bit of guts, a bit of moxie to wear a kilt, and a bit of self determination, self confidence. Yeah, exactly. To be able to pull it off. If you're not confident, if you're concerned what other people think about you, you probably wouldn't even consider wearing a kilt to school in the first place. So, bullying, yes, will probably be a thing, but if you've got the guts to do it in the first place, you probably got this.
I think, or if you're trying to build the confidence, because I think a lot of time, younger folks, you youths out there, things like this are an exercise in testing your mettle, proving something to yourself, giving yourself a challenge to rise to. I mean, we've both had experiences like that directly. So I think there's something to be that too. I mean, if you want to challenge yourself with this, then yeah, absolutely go for it. You're just by asking the question and making up your mind that you're going to try, you win.
Yeah.
So
and you've already proven something to yourself. You've already decided, and
yeah.
The reaction, again, if I could travel back in time and talk to 16, 18-year-old Rocky, who was single at the time, abso-freaking-lutely wear a kilt. Dude, the women go crazy for it. So, will you catch hell from, the captain of the football team who's going to be like, oh, you're gay, you wear a skirt. Yes, but the head cheerleader will probably give you her phone number. So it'll be fine. But that's kind of the point, is that you get to test the boundaries and play with it. And it will, A, test your mettle, B, build your confidence in speaking to others about it. And, if you're a straight guy looking for girls, it's a great way to show you're confident. And again, test your mettle with the bullies. And if you're confident, you're going to be able to take the slings and arrows that come at you from it. And it's going to just make you a stronger person. So, yeah, do it.
One last point, but then we should wrap it up. Advice we always give to new kilt wearers in general applies here also. Wear it at home to practice, so you're completely comfortable in it and know how you want to sweep the pleats when you sit down and how it's going to behave, how it's going to feel. So when you go into school, you're totally ready. If you already wear kilts, then this is a moot point. But basic advice, just wear it at home a few times to make sure you understand how it feels. And the other thing we give to first-time kilt wearers is wear it at a time where it's a little bit more appropriate or where there's going to be other people. Right. So now there probably won't be other people in your school wearing a kilt, but if you wear it for Tartan Day or for St. Patrick's Day or for an appropriate or for Burn Supper or like the end of January. Spirit Day maybe. Or Spirit Day. Possibly. If you have something to match your school's colors. Exactly. If you're wearing it in a time where it's more appropriate, you're likely to catch less hell than you would if you're wearing it on a random Tuesday in November. So, yes, if you can time it a little bit, sure, that can help. But if you're confident, you got this. And wear sunscreen. Exactly. So everyone else, keep telling us down in the comments. Yeah, keep it coming. Keep it coming. You think. Keep it rolling. Keep it going. Keep this train going. All right, cool. Until next time, boys and girls.